my tummy tuck with muscle repair in May 2024, and I started this journey probably about late December, early January. I never intended to have plastic surgery. I had weight loss surgery in 2014. They actually talk to you about plastic surgery when you're going through the process to have weight loss surgery, and it just never interested me. I just wanted to lose the weight, and I said if I lose the weight, I will not worry about the loose skin. I will deal with it. So fast forward almost 10 years, and over the past year or so, I've lost about 70 pounds after a period of regain. And the more I worked out, the more I toned and worked on my core, the more the loose skin kind of impacted my workouts. There was just so much of it. I had a sort of like a fat roll above my belly button, and then I had the apron below my belly button, and it just really started to impact my workouts. And so I was like, let me just look into it and see if there are any alternatives to having plastic surgery, if there's something else that I could do. And I didn't really find anything. Everything that I found basically said that if you want to get rid of the loose skin, you have to have it cut off. And so that meant having plastic surgery. I was so opposed to plastic surgery at that point because I was opposed to going under general anesthesia. And I just, the older I get, the more risk adverse I get. I was just opposed to it. But I decided to set up some consultations in early January just to kind of see what the options were, kind of see what they were talking about. I really wasn't at that point sold on having plastic surgery. So I'm going to share with you the 3 consultations that I set up and how they went, what my experiences were with them, and then I'll share a little bit of information about the surgical center that I actually ended up choosing and why. All right, so the first consultation that I set up was for a place called Sono Bello. They advertise alternative tummy tucks. They advertise awake lipo. And I was like, oh, that is perfect because A, I'm afraid of going under general anesthesia. And then with the tummy tuck alternative, they said, you only have like 3 days of downtime. As opposed to 6 weeks with traditional plastic surgery, you only have 3 days of downtime. Well, that's right up my alley. Okay, let's go. So I set up the consultation for this place. There is a branch that is very close to my house, actually. And so I set up the consultation, and a couple of days before the consultation was actually scheduled, they called me and canceled it. And they said they had a scheduling conflict, and they apologized and they would be calling back to reschedule that consultation. So I was just kind of like, okay, But I continued to do my research on them. I did have a friend who said that she had a client who had used them, not this particular branch, but had used them in another state and loved her results. And I was like, oh, okay, well that's a good, good review. But I continued to do my research on them, and I came across their Better Business Bureau profile. And I just started to read. And there were a lot of similar complaints on their profile. Just pages and pages and pages and pages. To the point that I decided, what? I'm probably not even going to go through with the consultation. And so when they called back to reschedule the appointment, I did not reschedule the appointment. I actually ended up not having the consultation with them at all. Some of the complaints that were on the profile that actually scared me was that the people who were having the surgery said that they could feel everything. Supposedly they used some sort of local anesthesia. And you're supposed to be pretty numb, but you're awake, and you're not supposed to be able to feel anything. And a lot of the complaints just basically said I could feel everything. And I was like, yeah, that's not for me. So that experience really opened my eyes to the world of plastic surgery and let me know, okay, go all the way back to the very beginning of the drawing board and really figure out what it is that I should be looking for in a plastic surgeon. And so the next consultation that I set up was with a place called the Center for Plastic Surgery. They are local to my area. And when I was doing the research on the website, one of the bios really stuck out to me. One of the plastic surgeons was a reconstructive specialist. And I knew that by being a reconstructive specialist, he could produce a custom result. I didn't want a cookie cutter look. I wanted something that looked very natural for my body type. And so decided to schedule a consultation with this plastic surgeon. Went in and actually had the consultation with him. You know, he pulled it up and he pulled it down and he pulled it this way, and you know, he really talked to me about what my options were for having plastic surgery. You know, he walked into the exam room and the first thing I told him was, I don't want to have plastic surgery. I don't know what I expected him to do with that, but he was very reassuring. He, you know, answered all of my questions about general anesthesia. He answered all of my questions about having, you know, the surgery and what pre-op would look like, what the surgery would look like, what post-op would look like. He was very realistic in what I could expect in terms of results. He went over all the options for me. Didn't feel any pressure. There was no pressure whatsoever to do it. He answered all of my questions, didn't try to rush me through the questions or anything like that. He answered all my questions. He answered some questions I didn't know I should have had. He was very relatable. He was my age. He was a year older than I am, what I found out. So he was just very relatable, very personal, great bedside manner. So I really felt comfortable with him. After that consultation, I went to meet with his patient coordinator and got the quote for the actual surgery. And again, no pressure whatsoever. The quote was good for 3 months, although they knew, they had already known that the anesthesiologist fee would go up. They just didn't know when. So she did let me know that, hey, while the quote is good for 3 months, you know, depending on, you know, if you decide to do it, the anesthesiologist fee could go up by a couple $100. So she let me know that up front. But there was no pressure to assign. They knew that that was, you know, practically my first consultation. And, you know, there was just no pressure whatsoever. They were very nice, answered all my questions, and I went home. Still was not convinced that I was ready to have plastic surgery, but I had already set up another consultation. My third consultation that I set up was with a place called The Glow. And this was a surgical center that is nearby, but it's in a different state. And so when I set up the consultation, I decided to set it up as a virtual consultation. And, you know, I was like, you know, I'm perfectly fine having, you know, I've done telemedicine before with doctors where, you know, you're on video and you can see each other. So I was perfectly fine with having a virtual consultation with the surgeon. The consultation day came, and it was about a couple of minutes before, you know, the time for the consultation. And I hadn't received any type of Zoom link or any other type of, you know, link to have this consultation. And so I reached out by text to the person I had been texting with to set up the appointment. And I said, hey, my appointment is in a couple of minutes and I haven't gotten a link or anything for the virtual consultation. And she replied to me and said, oh, I'm gonna call you. I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, maybe something happened. The surgeon got busy. She's gonna, you know, call me and let me know we need to reschedule, which would have been fine. So she calls me and she says, I'm gonna do your consultation. And I'm like, okay, but who are you? Like, you know, I thought you're just like the scheduler. Why am I having the consultation with the scheduler? I thought I was gonna talk to the plastic surgeon. I was like, okay. And so, you know, she's talking to me. She asked me, what was I looking for? And I basically told her, you know, what my problem areas were, and that I was, you know, interested in learning more about tummy tucks. And so what she told me was that I needed a tummy tuck with muscle repair and 360 lipo. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how do you know? Like, you haven't seen me, you haven't touched me, you're not the surgeon. Like, how do you know what I need? And the consultation that I had the week prior with Center for Plastic Surgery, that surgeon told me I didn't have enough fat in my abdomen area to lipo. He said, you just don't have enough here to lipo. There's nothing that I can suck out of this. And so, you know, when she says to me, you need a tummy tuck with lipo, without having seen me, or even seen pictures or anything of me, I don't trust you. And so I'm like, okay, I just really didn't hear anything else she said after that, to be quite honest. She did send the quote over to me by email. Their quote was practically the same as the quote that I got from Center for Plastic Surgery, other than the additional cost of the lipo, which was about $4,500, maybe $4,700 more for the lipo, but otherwise just the tummy tuck with the muscle repair piece, it was practically the same price as Center for Plastic Surgery. But again, consultation with an assistant who's not the surgeon over the phone, and you haven't seen me and you want to give me advice on a medical procedure, no thank you. So at that point I just kind of decided maybe this isn't, this is my sign. This isn't for me. Think about it some more, do some more research. But at that point I was probably about 99% sure I was not going to have the surgery. About a month or so later, after the last consultation, about a month or so later, I was exercising and I was recording myself exercising. I was doing planks, and my loose skin, that roll and that apron in my abdomen area fell out of my compression pants, and I was recording this. And so when I went back to take a look at the video, and I saw that, I'm doing these exercises and I'm moving, twisting from side to side, and that skin just falls right out of my compression pants. And I said to myself, this is ridiculous. I'm going to see the plastic surgeon again. And so that very day, I set up a second consultation with the surgeon that was at the Center for Plastic Surgery. Wanted to go in, talk to him again. Again, he was very personable, and I don't know another way to kind of explain that. He just made me feel very comfortable. I was very comfortable with him. He didn't talk over my head. He really brought it down to this level. He was very reassuring, especially when it came to the general anesthesia piece, because I was like, I'm very afraid of general anesthesia. I've done it before for weight loss surgery, but that was like a different situation for me. This is truly for me an elective procedure. And I'm really scared about being put under and not waking up. And so he was just very reassuring about that. And he was just willing to answer all of my questions. And so I set up a second consultation with him. And went back in on February the 29th. He pretty much answered all of my questions again. I had some additional questions for him. We kind of talked through a little bit more in depth about what my options were for what is called the fleur de lis vertical incision, where they not only cut you horizontally, but they also cut you vertically down the middle of your abdomen, and they pull you this way. They tighten you this way as well as this way. I really didn't want the vertical incision, but I did want a great result. I knew what I wanted to look like, and even though I didn't want the maximum tightness, I didn't want to accentuate my hips any more with a really snatched waist. I did want to feel like I got my money's worth. So we had a very, very in-depth conversation, that second consultation, about the pros and cons of having that vertical incision and having that surgery. And I just decided not to do it. He thought that he could give me a great result without it. And he said that if the mental anguish of that scar is going to prevent you from enjoying your result, don't do it. Don't have it. You will love your result without doing that vertical incision and me pulling you that way as well. And so I walked out of the exam room, walked in, talked to the patient coordinator again, and said, all right, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do it. And so I set up my my surgery date that day. I had to pay $1,000 deposit. So I paid the $1,000 deposit to get my surgery date booked. The anesthesiologist fee had gone up by that point. It had gone up about $300, very minimal. And so the rest of the balance was due at the pre-op appointment, which was, for me, it was about a month before surgery. And so that was it. That was how I ended up selecting my plastic surgeon. And my experiences with the consultations, I will tell you that just research, because again, there are so many levels to the world of plastic surgery, and there were, just some red flags for me out there, and I was just kind of like, not for me. I kind of knew what I was, if I was going to do it, I had to, it had to be with someone that I trusted. I'm laying on this table and I'm entrusting you with my life, and I want to be reassured that I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be okay. And so just research, because that was it, how I truly ended up finding my plastic surgeon. I'm very happy with my results. He did exactly what he said that he was going to do. I am happy exactly the way he said I would be happy. I had a relatively pain-free procedure. I've had 0 complications thus far. I'm 4 weeks post-op. And it's just has been from beginning to end a very pleasant experience, and I would not have expected that. Again, I never wanted to have plastic surgery. It was never something that interested me. Never wanted to go under the knife, for another elective procedure after I had weight loss surgery. But I did it. Glad I did it, but also glad that I took the time to set up the consultations, avoided red flags, by doing my research and picking the plastic surgeon that was right for me. All right, so if you have any questions about what I found during my research, I do plan to do a video on red flags. Again, just some of the things that I found to avoid when selecting your plastic surgeon. But if you have any questions about consultations, the places that I consulted with, or anything else related to the procedure, put them in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer those questions. If I need to do another long video to expand on a topic even further, I will certainly do so. I look forward to see you in the next video.